on the way, but they're already here, right?
Really, you're supposed to get that warm again?
Friday.
They working on
But the promises they'll change it by then.
We'll make it to Christmas with no snow days.
Okay, my phone is on vibrate. This or that? Phone's on vibrate.
Set my computer up on the other side of this so I can open that lid up a little bit while we're running.
Ashley's going to be late. She has a function at the
We've got
Justice Center.
one of the schools or something.
Yeah, Justice.
Okay, yeah, because Angie said she wouldn't be here, would be late, and Patrice isn't here. They've got activities at their school, and Steve has
There's a lot of activities tonight.
yeah, there's a lot tonight. This is a tough night.
Orchestra and band concert.
Yeah.
They've been decorating for and baking cookies for.
And then both the bands at Departmental and Clark
I got to see some of the band at Conclave when they were practicing the other night, or the other day. I was out there and they were practicing.
Christmas programs.
Let's go. We got at least 4 principals out tonight. It's just a tough week. It seems like it's
I'm not a high school anymore.
jammed in. Cheerleading recognition is what's got everybody.
Yeah, now what? Yeah, that's right.
Hello. I presume you go to the website to get that?
That's the way I'm going to say it. And if somebody jumps up and says, that's not right, I'm Harley said it was.
I'm surprised there's our schools on that.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part. Yeah.
Is it going to be projected up on the wall?
I would think she'd miss this one. I saw the trophies
Still
somewhere.
not got going yet.
Yeah, just quick thinking. Okay, so they're out here pretty fast.
It's fall for whatever the shirt is. Still scanning.
I was there when this cheerleading program began, when it was born. Melissa, my daughter, she was a freshman on the varsity cheerleading squad. The boys, there were a couple of girls that really weren't very good gymnasts, so they became physically unable to compete in the boards. But Melissa and Susan Moore, who were really good gymnasts, on the varsity. Then we went to Dallas. I remember on the day after Christmas, on the 26th, at 5:30, I was up at the high school getting on a bus to go to, but Pat couldn't go. She was going to school. I was up at the high school catching a school bus to go to the airport so we could fly to Dallas. Is how I
It's thinking. It'll be okay.
Oh, different way of doing things back then. Much more informal than when.
All right, if everyone's ready, I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone who has come here, taken time out of their holiday schedule to attend our meeting. I'd like to offer, before anybody else does, my congratulations to the cheerleaders. So, we're very proud of you. Thank everybody. Stand. I'll have a moment of silence. And the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First item of business is adoption of the agenda. Does anybody have any additions or changes to the agenda? If not,
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
Number 17, agenda item 17 was, action was taken on that last month.
I would agree with that.
And
We want just to revisit that tonight if we could, and when we get to that point, I mean,
okay, but parliamentarily, there has to be a motion to consider in order to reconsider in order to do that. Also, are we going to consider a stipend for personnel?
That could be added to the agenda.
Can we add that? And I believe the board still needs to take a vote on the matter of a facilitator for the facilities committee, as we have not had that discussion.
Okay, so that would mean that we cannot consider item number 17, correct? Or could that come up, that, could we leave that on the agenda and then say that we would have a motion to reconsider? I agree with you, and I was looking at that, the
Right.
board's voted on that already, so.
How do you want me to proceed with that? I'd like to get it
Well,
back
the
to...
motion to reconsider has to come from one of the people who voted on the prevailing side. When it failed the last time, it was by a vote of 2 in favor and 3 against. So one of the 3 people who voted against it would have to offer the motion to reconsider if we are following permanent procedure.
That being said, I make a motion to reconsider.
But you didn't vote on the prevailing side.
No.
Was it?
You were
Oh,
on
that's
the-
right.
Ashley and Beth and I voted on the
That's right, what
prevailing
you said.
side.
So it would
Okay.
have to come from the 3 of you.
Right.
We can't get a motion to reconsider, then
No, I read it pretty well. So item number 17 is struck. And we'll add item number 19, stipend for personnel, and item number 20, facilitator for local planning committee.
Are we going to change all the following numbers? Or should we maybe make a
We'll just
A and
omit.
B.
A and B?
So you would say 18A and 18B?
Sure.
Okay. So the motion is in order to approve the agenda with the following changes. Strike item number 17, add item 18A, stipend for personnel, add item number 18B, facilitator for local planning committee. Motion is in order to adopt the agenda as amended.
I move that we adopt the agenda as amended.
Motion by Ms. Hicks,
I'll second it.
second by Dr. Griffith. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with Ms. Ritchie absent. Ms. Ritchie is at a school function right now, and she will be here probably in 15 or 20 minutes. Next item on the agenda is approval of minutes for the November 19th, 2013 regular meeting and December 3rd, 2013 special meeting. Any comments, changes, or edits to those? If not, a motion is in order to approve those as presented.
I make a motion to approve those as presented.
Motion by Mr.
Second.
McGowan, second by Ms. Hicks. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with Ms. Ritchie absent. Student staff recognition, Mr. Christie.
we've got
Let's deal with this crowd that we have
We've
here.
got a few here. We'll hold the crowd for a few minutes. First thing I'd like to recognize is a group of students. It was the Clark County Conservation District winners, then the county essay and the county art winners. First place in the essay awards went to Erica Hatfield at Clark Middle. Second place was Raymond Shanklin at Concrete Middle. And third place was Ashley Fraley at GRC. In the art section, it was first place was Hannah Craig from Stroke Station. These are the overall winners. The second place was Shelby Allman from Hannah McClure. And third place was Emma Mullins from Providence. The third grade to fifth grade art winners were Megan Estes at Shear Elementary, Keziah Myers at Pilot View Elementary, Austin Rainey at Justice Elementary, Izzy Herringshaw from Hannah McClure, and Callie Creek from Justice Elementary. All those winners will be honored and receive awards at the district annual banquet later in the spring. So we'll also do some things for the school there at that time too. So they'll be recognized there again. But congratulations to that group of students. We also had 2 students from Clark Middle School that auditioned and made the Kentucky Music Educators Association All-State Middle School Choir, or Chorus, I'm sorry. And that was Ella Stevens and Jasmine Thomas. So congratulations to those students also. I'd like to say congratulations also to the JROTC group at GRC. It's their academic and leadership teams. They made it to the second round of the JROTC Academic and Leadership Bowl competitions. This is a competition that's nationwide. It started out with over 1,560 teams. They've now cut that in half, and GRC's group will be in competition in February for the second round. Should they win in that round, then from there, they go to Washington, D.C. this summer for the national competition. So congratulations to that group also. I think I mentioned once before, maybe we talked about it just informally, but on September the 18th, all across the state of Kentucky, The schools, districts statewide participated in a high attendance day. Providence Elementary School won the large elementary category with 100% attendance on that day, and they were awarded $500 from the Kentucky Directors of Pupil Personnel Association during the regional meeting. So congratulations to that school. And kind of saved the last one. This is a large group. This kind of goes to show what hard work and practice of about 51 years will get you. It's been 51 years, but finally the GRC cheerleaders brought home the state championship trophy from their competition. They won the 10th region on November 23rd in Nicholas County, and then they went on to the state competition, the KSHAA competition. It was held at the Alltech Arena in Lexington. It was this last Saturday, and they represented us in the super large division and earned the title of state champions. So congratulations to that group. This is the first time in the 51-year history of GRC that they've won in this 2.5-minute routine. The group of students, athletes, will travel to Orlando, Florida, with the permission of the board at a later date to compete for the national championship in Orlando, Florida. And that's, I think, is in February. So congratulations. I'll ask all the girls to please stand up. I don't know if we can get everybody up front here for a picture for the congratulations. It's a special honor, not only to win in your region, but to go on to a state level. That's special. So thank you all.
Can you all come up for a picture? Maybe we'll put the trophy in the middle.
Christy can handle
I'm
that.
sure there are parents that want to take pictures.
Yeah.
Yes.
There'll be plenty of room for photos in the back to get everybody.
Turn sideways and get everybody in.
I'm not going to touch the marker. My rule is if you didn't fight to win, you don't start touching it.
Tell me this after you hand it after
No,
you hand
no,
it to
you're
me.
the superintendent. You can do that.
I went to the regional competition, got to watch in the regions, and I didn't get to make the state.
Also take a note. I'm not going to do this near the company. So it's out of your head.
Thank you also to the coaches. I know you guys put in a lot of time and a lot of effort to make this happen.
Great job. Thank you.
Great job. Congratulations. Way to go.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Okay. I'll get back to the mark. You said this is not like.
So we're in compliance, Judy. We're in compliance now. I'm sorry. So we're now in compliance. Our attendance is now. Congratulations, Judy.
I'm going to take it maybe tomorrow for the one for the up front. I'm going to just get a good scene on it. We're also going to do a presentation in front of the student body at the Montgomery County basketball game. They'll do a trophy presentation there. Now I think they've got some coming from KSHA to do that too. So there's some more recognition will come in front of the peers.
Does Providence have a program tonight?
Clark Middle, Cartwright, GRC, and Pilot View. I wasn't aware of
And
that.
Justice. Justice has one.
There's Mark. I haven't seen
Justice
Mr.
has one.
Rose.
Yeah, Providence had theirs 2 weeks ago.
Okay. I thought theirs was already. It's those two plus the start. I said use our same materials. The first two. Well, it was on the email. When, on the same one that said we could put that back at the name.
Looks like we're resituated.
Okay, looks like we're all resituated. Next item of business is public comments. We have one speaker signed in, that's Mrs. Lisa Sharp.
Good evening, everyone. I'll start off by saying public speaking is not my forte, but I'm passionate about the kids at GRC, and that's why I'm here. I just wanted to give you guys a little update, kind of like from a counselor's corner, if you will. Some real important things that are going on with the counselors and the kids at GRC. For starters, in October, in the Freshman Academy, I went into the classrooms with all the freshmen, and we worked on career pathway inventories. So every freshman was able to complete an interest survey, and there were 16 clusters at the end of the survey, and at the end of the survey it showed them their potential top 3 interests that help us as counselors guide them through pathways at the high school. And interesting enough, with this freshman group, the health sciences shone through as their top choice for classes that we would be looking towards scheduling them towards the fall. The other thing we did, I gave them schedule sheets for sophomore year, so if there was a student that had an interest in carpentry or welding, or if it was my health science child, what classes they needed to look at. So when we schedule in January, and we will be working with the kids on that, I'm going to go into classrooms again like I did on the survey to make sure that they're guided as they leave the Freshman Academy into their sophomore year. But anyway, that was a lot of fun. It was real interesting, and it was neat to hear some of the kids say, well, that was something I really hadn't thought about. Especially for the ones that were totally clueless, because they are so very young and they don't know. But just trying to plant that seed so they can see with the schedule as it is now, they can build for 8 classes. So you can be my carpenter and you can still be an AP student. So there's room for all that growth. So that was a lot of fun. And we also talked about the kids about to be what it meant to be college and career ready, and what does it mean to be a completer. So when you're taking the vocational classes, what you need to take to strive to be a completer in that as well. So that was a really great experience, a lot of fun. And then what we did in November, which was quite the undertaking, but with the funding of Gear Up, this is the first year for Gear Up at GRC with the cohort. It's going great. They were so good to us. We took November 13th, I will not forget that day. I'm sure the whole building will, but we took buses to college campuses, and we also took buses to industry. And we took 2 buses to EKU, 1 to Berea, 1 to Asbury, 1 to Georgetown, and 1 to UK. And then, since some of my students were having a large interest in going into career, we took Catalent Pharmacy was very good to host us, Claiborne Farms, WMU, the sewage treatment plant was a wonderful tour, and Southern States off Rockwell Road. So that was a wonderful tour. The kids seemed to really enjoy it. For some of them, it was another opportunity to get on a college campus because they'd been able to do some Gear Up visits in the middle school level. But with Gear Up funding, it really opens doors for us to promote, the college and career pathway. Scheduling will occur in January with PPGs. Like I said, I know I will go in through the classrooms myself, and upper grade level counselors are working with students just as well to help them make individual choices for classes because we have to start now on the scheduling process. Hopefully the next round of tours, if Gear Up will support me, we're trying to plan another round of college visits to different campuses on March 26th. And I don't have an industry track for that one yet. That may be that there was a lot more of the kids are coming and saying, Ms. Sharp, I'd love to take that college trip. So I think we may just expand that. That's kind of what's going on with the counseling right now in our endeavors with Pathways and promoting the college and career and what you have to be that so that you're meeting benchmarks. And at the same time, looking at other interests within our vocational, it'll open in January, and we're real excited about all being one big family. So I just wanted y'all to hear that and know a little bit about what's going on at GRC.
What were your other, you mentioned 3 top ones, what were the other 2?
The second one dealt with, it was art and the audio visual and communications, and then the computer. Lots of growth there, which is awesome because now that we're going to be under one house, we can just feed off each other, and they can see that that I can be the AP kid, I can do EKU, and I can pursue. Because it's like I was explaining to the kids, to have a backup in today's world, a lot of kids are getting out of college and they're not getting jobs. So, you may fall back on your carpentry trade or you may fall back on your welding. For them to look at things in a diverse way, and I think we're doing a good job of providing that at GRC. We have a great staff, awesome leadership, and we just want to move forward and keep the kids, they're the pulse. So that's all.
Thank you.
While she's going back, I'd like to add that tomorrow at 3:30 is the first joint staff meeting between the area tech staff and the GRC staff will come together as a whole. So, I think some of us from Central Office are going to go out and join them tomorrow. It's the first one. We're kind of looking forward to that. It's the first real big get-together of everybody. Kind of along those same lines there.
Item number 3 is state and district updates, Paul.
Got just a few things here real quick. On January 6th, that's the PD day, the first day that we're back after the break. All teachers will receive training on SITS and PGES. That's going to be in 2 one-half-day trainings, and then they'll kind of flip-flop, and so they'll get both in one day. It'll be tailored to each of the levels, elementary, middle school, and high school. So the trainings will be different at each level. December 20th, coming up real quick, is the date for the schools and the districts to submit their CSIPs and CDIPs into ASSIST and APE, and after tonight we'll be ready to do that. Some of the things that in ASSIST has already gone. January 7th is the night at a GRC home basketball game with girls and boys game scheduled. There will be it's 908 students were given little cards like this. It's a free pass to get into the ball game. Like I said, 908 students that scored proficient or distinguished on the K-Prep. And so to recognize that, and there'll be some recognition for those students at the game there between quarters and some things. Access testing for our ELL program. will begin on January the 7th. And I've got one other one here that really was kind of a staff, should have been probably a staff recognition, but I think it's more and more, it's becoming more and more of just a district update, because as we're seeing all across our district, more and more often our staff throughout all the areas are being asked to come to various places to present and to train others. So I think that's almost more of a district update now, but that says a lot about our staff. This particular one was Jennifer Winburn and Eric Osborne from Jennifer here at the central office and Eric at GRC. They were asked to come to be presenters at the Infinite Campus Interchange Conference back on December 12th and 13th. Ms. Winburn she presented the Getting Creative with Activity Eligibility, and that was an Apple and IC tips and tricks, which I don't. When I have I go to her. She's the go-to person here. And then Mr. Osborne presented the Using Design Thinking in IC to Produce Innovative Schedules. So it was attended by all schools across the state of Kentucky. So I think that speaks highly of those folks and of our staff in general here in Clark County. We're being recognized, and I still stand by that. I think that we have the answers to a lot of the problems are right here. We don't need to go other places. They're right here. They're among us. So I want to recognize those folks.
Yeah, thank you. Item number 4 on the agenda is 4th month attendance update. Mr. Holland. Surprisingly good numbers for cold weather.
Yes, yes. As a matter of fact, it would have been probably a little bit stronger had it not been that day right before Thanksgiving. The bad weather with the prediction for even worse weather the day before the break kind of brought us down a little bit. But the good news is our attendance still increased for the 4th consecutive month. Providence, month 4 attendance, they were the month 4 attendance winner. The banner and flag will remain at Providence for a 3rd consecutive month. So kudos and congratulations to Providence. And likewise, Providence and Justice both met their goal for the month, for the 4th month. So they received their attendance incentive. And Justice Elementary is the only school so far to have met that back-to-back. So kudos and congratulations to their staff as well.
Any questions, Mr. Holland? Thank you. And keeping our fingers crossed for month 5. Okay. Next item, number 5, is presentation of 2012 KIP survey. Paul Columbia and Martha Cobes.
I'd like to introduce some guests we have with us tonight. We've got Martha Cobes is here from Bluegrass Prevention Center, and also Melissa Stocker, who is our new ASAP Director, Agency for Substance Abuse Policy. She's replacing Jenna Smith, who's recently moved on to another spot. We've got Ron Kibbe, who was recently retired from comprehensive care after a lot of years of serving the community. So I'd also like to say that Jenna and Melissa are GRC grads from not too far back. So it's nice to have them working in the community. Martha, you feel good?
I'm Emmy Cobus. My real name is Martha, but everybody calls me Emmy here in town. I'm here, I met recently, or a few months ago, with Mr. Christie and Mr. Columbia and Jana Smith, and I represent the ASAP board and Bluegrass Prevention Center. And in your packet, I put the mission of what ASAP board stands for. There are many people that serve on the ASAP board, and our goal is to prevent drug and substance abuse in the communities, and it also covers the realm of treatment and enforcement. So if you'll just take a look in your packet, I was going to go over the data really quick of the 2012 KIP survey that was done in the schools. And as I had told Mr. Columbia and Mr. Christie previously, by no means am I pointing fingers. This is obviously a community problem. This is not a school problem, and that's what I hope this starts conversations of what we can all work together on. So I did notice right before I left out of my office an error in the last one I sent to you, Mr. Columbia, and I apologize for that, and it's in the 30-day cigarette use. It's 9%, not 95% under the state data, just to let you all know before I start. If you will take a look at the actual substance piece of data that I put in your packets, 30-day alcohol use, as you can see, have significantly increased from 2010 to 2012, and the 8th grade has increased by 5%, and the 10th grade has increased by 6% in Clark County. The 8th and 10th grade 30-day use is higher than the region and the state. Unfortunately, for the alcohol use in this community with underage youth, it is the highest in the region. So that is the #1 drug of choice for the youth in this community. Binge drinking in the last 2 weeks have increased with the 8th grade by 2% from 2010 to 2012. We need to see this as a challenge, obviously, that these are things that the ASAP board and myself can help address with the youth. As you know, Jana Smith has created a youth network with the youth in GRC, and a lot of their efforts are towards alcohol use. The 30-day prescription drug use has decreased, and I applaud many people in this community for the efforts that they have put towards this prescription drug epidemic in the state of Kentucky. Also, applause to the law enforcement for placing those boxes in the community and promotion of those. With 30-day drunkenness, answering at least one or more occasion in the 10th grade is 6% higher than the region and the state. The 30-day use of cigarettes, there is an increase in the 8th, 10th, and 12th grades from the 2010 to 2012, with the 8th grade and the 10th grade usage higher than the region and the state. Those, things like this we can address through policy changing. Currently, speaking with several other communities that I work with, they're running into an e-cigarette problem in their schools because there was no policy in place regarding addressing e-cigarettes. And those are things I will be glad to help with. And I know the ASAP board and Mr. Lockhart behind me would be willing to help too. With 30-day smokeless tobacco numbers for the 8th grade has increased by 5% from 2010 to 2012. And according to the 2012 data for 8th graders, it's higher than the region and the state. With unable to recall what they did after drinking or drug use, 12% of the 8th graders were unable to recall what they did, 23% of the 10th graders, and 1/4 of the 12th graders could not recall. So all these, unfortunately, are higher than the region and the state data. If you will look at the bottom chart, the obvious situation problem with this community is alcohol use, followed in line by tobacco use. Like I said, those are many things that myself, the ASAP board, or Mr. Lockhart is going to help with in the community. Also, I did put together a sheet for you all that addresses safety and mental health, and I don't know if that. Okay. That one's behind the other form. As we know, suicide is becoming a problem with our youth in the state of Kentucky. There are an average of 5.7 suicide attempts in the state of Kentucky on a daily basis, and suicide is the second leading cause of death by Kentuckians from the ages of 15 to 34. With feelings of students in this community or youth in this community of depressed, worthlessness, and hopelessness, those are things we can definitely address. My office provides QPR training for all of the staff and administration necessary, and we have a great resource in the back. Also, Mr. Ron Kibbe, although he is retired from Bluegrass.org, I know he is willing to help with any treatment efforts in this community or addressing anything that's necessary regarding these issues. The biggest thing is we do have free curriculums to offer regarding suicide prevention in the communities. I was called into Harrison County just recently, and they have lost 3 youth to suicide in the past school calendar year. So these are unfortunately horrible situations, and they are currently implementing an evidence-based program regarding that. So my biggest thing is with prevention, if we all work together, it will increase the perceptions and risks of the alcohol and tobacco and other drug issues. If we increase perceptions of social disapproval, if we just stand our ground and let kids know this is not going to be tolerated, teach resistance skills to our youth, decrease accessibility, which is something this current board, ASAP board, is working on, with hoping to get a responsible beverage service training, which will help decrease access in this community. If we provide information that is appropriate for students, developmental age, interests, and needs, use role models, which I know role modeling programs are going into the schools currently, which is great. And also, the ASAP board has written a grant regarding Coaches Initiative, where we can come in and train coaches on how drinking alcohol and using drugs affects their athletic performance. And I know the Youth Network is a great piece in the community and is always willing to step up and help us. So, do I have any questions? I'm sorry, data can be quite boring at times. I apologize.
This data.
But
It's a clear message.
it does, and I did put in your packet what is prevention, a cost-benefit analysis of what drug prevention does. It cuts out, all the way up to law enforcement and treatment. And treatment is quite expensive in the state of Kentucky, and there are not many options. However I can help, I will be more than happy to. Like I said, this is a community problem. These youth take this survey just in the school. That's the only thing, the school board owns this data, and so that's why I talked to Mr. Christie and Mr. Columbia about, presenting to you all to let you know what the issue is and how we really want to help change the perceptions in this community. So,
What was your
Go ahead.
What was your methodology for controlling responses? I mean, I'm assuming that you have some error analysis.
I didn't. Reach of Louisville is the one that's contracted to do the survey. I did put the question and answer fact sheet in your packet, the actual survey, and I can find out that information for you and get that to you. But I don't represent Reach of Louisville, who actually does the analysis on the survey.
And they'll be doing that again in 2014.
Yes, as long as you all are willing to participate. Mr. Christie would just have to sign off approval, and that's something I'm more than happy to help with, because I know staff time is of the essence at this point. And so I was the coordinator for the Fayette County survey back in 2010, and I'll be more than happy to come in and help as much as possible, just to relieve your staff from having to take on the burden.
Now the hard question. Can you offer any suggestions on how to address some of these problems?
Well, implementing more strong policies, consequences. I feel if you implement policies in the first couple of times, the consequences are seen. It spreads by word of mouth a lot of times. They know it's not going to be tolerated. And evidence-based curriculum, anything like that. There's some great curriculums out there that may be suitable for this community or the school systems. And that's something I will definitely be willing to sit down and talk with you all if you all are interested in doing that.
Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you.
As part of this presentation, we appreciate the question of what can we do together. And I'm Scott Lockard, I'm a public health director, and appreciate the opportunity that we have at any time to partner with our school system here, because again, this is a community problem. In the MAP process, we did the community health assessment, and we've got a group working on substance abuse issues and looking at policies, like Amy was saying. When we're trying to change behaviors, policy has a much bigger impact. Tom Frieden does a pyramid that talks about the biggest change, and one of the things that we would love to work with the school system on is a 24/7 tobacco-free campus idea. If we could partner on something of that nature. We're seeing hospital has gone to a tobacco-free campus, the health department, the YMCA. We're seeing many entities in our community that is doing this, including e-cigarettes, to model that. And I'd like to commend Mr. Holland, Mr. Howard. We recently attended a coordinated school health conference where we're talking about more partnership opportunities. So the Public Health Department and the Board of Health, I'm here representing them to pledge our support in partnering, working together, whatever we can do to address these issues in our community. Thank you.
Thank you all. Okay. Next item is item number 6, Fanny Bush Elementary School building and land appraisal. Mr. Columbia.
Sorry, I apologize for not recognizing you earlier.
No problem.
Steve Adams, who's a certified general real property appraiser, did the appraisal over a few days back in November. And he appraised the Fanny Bush property for $431,000. If we turn to page 2, I have just a few things here that he used to make his decision with his cohorts. Page 2, he actually just used the 24,835 square feet building. His group said they didn't think the trailers made a difference, wouldn't help it, so he just went with the 24,000 square feet, along with the 6.61 acres, plus or minus. Page 12. On the highest and best use, for the top of the page, 4 criteria, the highest and best use must meet are legal permissibility, physical possibility, financial feasibility, and maximum productivity. And then drop down that same heading to the 3rd underlying part, highest and best use of property as improved, meaning as is.
So which page? I'm sorry, Paul.
I'm sorry.
What
13.
page?
I said 12, but it was 13,
Okay.
excuse me.
Okay, thank you.
I got my pages doubled up here, second paper. All right, so going back up, page 13, excuse me, highest and best use for the top of the page, I'll hit it again there. The 4 criteria, legal permissibility, physical possibility, financial feasibility, and maximum productivity. And then 2 underlying paragraphs under that, highest and best use of the property as improved, meaning as it is. That's what they used here. And at the bottom of that page 13, where it says as vacant, the appraisers are of the opinion that the higher return to the land would not be achieved if the improvements were demolished and the land returned to a vacant state. But the appraisers feel at the bottom of that page where it says as improved, that the economic comparison and the sales comparison approach analysis section is reported indicates that the as improved category meets the highest and best use criteria.
That's a little surprising, I thought.
See, later on it says that it'll be $125,000 to demolish the building. This is about $5 per square foot. Smith Elementary was demolished about $4.51 per square foot. So
What was that total?
For the demolition, estimated $125,000.
But I mean for Central.
$200,000 was the approximate demolition, and that ended up being about $4.50 per square
Okay,
foot.
thank you.
Page 14, that second paragraph. As improved at the present time appears to meet the highest and best use criteria. This analysis is based on information presently available without completely ruling out competing land uses. On page 16, Mr. Adams used the sales comparison approach. See, they're just past the halfway down the page. And the sales comparison approach is deriving a value indication for the subject property by comparing market information for similar properties, with the property being appraised, identifying appropriate units of comparison, making qualitative comparisons with or quantitative adjustments to the sale prices. Page 17, the 4th paragraph. The data found, collected, and analyzed from the sales comparison approach are considered valid and reliable. Therefore, only the sales comparison approach is used in this analysis. And then you can see how I broke it up into a north parcel with 2 vacant acres, a south parcel with 2 vacant acres, and a central parcel with 2.61 acres, which includes the building. And the last sentence there, because no evidence could be found that outbuildings on the subject property as mentioned make a contribution of value, they're not included. Page 18, parcels highlighted there are headed sales comparison approach in paragraph 2. The subject property is zoned light industrial district I-1. So Mr. Adams and his group used in the table 6 properties comparable to the I-1 land use. The acres ranging there, 2.5 acres, excuse me, 1.5 acres up to 15, see the price per acre. And then the last paragraph on 18, the subject property is considered inferior to cell 1, but superior to 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So they took the average there, came up with $57,524 per acre. So they just made an estimation there of $75,000 per acre for the front acreage, road frontage, and then $50,000 for the acres behind that front acre. On page 19, top of the page, the value opinion for each of the hypothetical 2-acre lots would be as follows. The front acre, as just mentioned, $75,000 plus the rear acre at $50,000 for a total of $125,000 for the north lot, likewise for the south lot, for $250,000 total for the vacant lots. And then he uses a comparable and improved school sales. There are 9 schools around the country, around the state that were sold last year. Meade County, Pike County, Bell County, Lee County, Mason County, because combined 3 elementaries looks like they're closing it up. And you can see the sale price, $165,000, $86,000, $103,000 for these properties, $150,000. The largest sale price was the $180,000. We had a couple of smaller sale prices. At the bottom of page 21.
Excuse me, Paul, do we have any indication of what the appraisals were on these properties?
No, I was curious myself, but we didn't have those, just the sale prices. Bottom of page 21, the improved school sales range from $3.43 per square foot to $9.89 per square foot. The sales average was $7.29 per square foot. So in that last sentence in the bottom paragraph there on page 21, the mid-range of values at $7.29 per square foot we felt was most appropriate for this property. So then at the top of page 22, he used that information, $7.29 per square foot for the 24,000 plus square feet. We came up with approximately $181,000 for the appraisal for the 2.61 acres, which includes the school building. So we put the $181,000 with the the $250,000 that gives the $431,000 appraisal for all 6.61 acres. And then the last thing there on page 22, the highest and best use comparison, it does state there how if you were to sell those acreages after demolition at a cost of $125,000, you would realize just $30,000 on the property. So the demolition, this group suggests, would not be a good idea.
So that would just be for the 2.6 acres on which the building is located, correct?
Yes. And then page 24, the last little bit that I mentioned. The subject property is hypothetically divided, as we mentioned, into a north parcel 2 acres, 2 vacant acres, south parcel 2 vacant acres, $125,000 apiece, central parcel 2.61 acres, $181,000. And his last paragraph there, the value opinion for the subject property as of November 19th, final date of observation, therefore is the sum of the 2 vacant lots and the lot with the school as is at $431,000.
Since this property is zoned the I-1, what types of businesses could purchase this property?
It's light industrial, Ms. Christie.
Well, I read all the details about the
Yeah,
light
I'm not
industrial,
sure.
but I didn't know what practically, that would,
I'm not that familiar with it.
Be probably a
Those-
host of things.
Those would be industries that don't generate much in the way of noise
Right.
and visible type of activities and things like that.
Does it have to be industrial, though? Because there was like a little other category, and I
It
was
may be
curious
it's
about
one of the categories that you could have other types that amortize into it. Any
So that
types of
would have to go
business.
before, like, the zoning board, if they wanted
To get the zoning
purchase it.
redone, which probably wouldn't be insurmountable considering where that property is. And the only zoning that would be less restrictive would be heavy industry, really. So its current use is quite flexible. And then you would drop down to general business, highway business, even downtown business perhaps. But I don't get to vote down there. I get to listen there like I do here.
Okay, thank you.
The buildings surrounding you have the British leadership, I've got the name of it, Eagle Navy. And then across you have Riley's Gas. You have a house that was turned into a public works office across the streets. Cantrell's is down the street a little ways. Be a gas station.
Fuel station.
Those
what's
are
our
general
next step?
businesses. That would be, it would be, those uses would be compatible with that property probably. Those are general business uses for the most part.
So what's the next step that we need to take?
Mr. Christie will advise you on that.
I've got a call in right now with KDE. You have already declared it surplus. Of course, before it being kind of sale, it'd have to be advertised, it'd have to be ads placed and take on the bids on it. That way, I'll get a more detailed. I didn't get a call back today from KDE on it. I was hoping they would call back before the board meeting, but they didn't. I called them again today. But in my last conversations with them, it was to get it declared surplus, get it appraised, and then you could do bids.
Is that something that we have to vote on, or is that something that you can
It's
take
a
the
board-
initiative to do?
It's a board decision. If you vote to move forward with the process of advertising for sale, then I would work with KDE to do that.
And can we donate it or keep it
It's your choice.
or see what we, or
Those are questions
see
I
what
like.
we get for bids with the option to reject and then
I think
decide
you
if
can,
we
yes.
want to.
And that was something they said you can, in your bid, you would put out with, and the Clark County Board of Education reserves the right to reject any and all bids. So that gives you your
Leeway to do
Your
something
leeway.
else with it.
Is that something we need to do tonight so that the process can get started?
Or do we have to wait until we hear from KDE?
No, I can, if you all vote to go ahead and move forward with to explore the sale of the property, then I'll get the directions from them, and if it involves any other vote, I'll bring it back to the board, but I can prepare the ads and run those back by you or whatever. They did say they would assist with this if they've done this.
Yeah. Then I move that we authorize the superintendent to proceed with the next steps in considering bids or other uses of the property at Fanny Bush.
Motion is on the table by Ms. Dix. Second. We'll give that to Dr. Griffith. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay. Next item is item number 7, consider approval of the Comprehensive District Improvement Plan, Ms. Considine.
Good evening. Hopefully you've had an opportunity to look through. Sure. I thought people were leaving because I thought my section was kind of boring.
Well, I'm interested in this concept.
Yes, I'm interested.
I'm sorry, so I printed out half of it. So let's-
You didn't get the whole 84 pages.
there was a little bit of repetition in there. So
What, and I have to explain a little bit, that is the program itself. And so the way it prints, it likes to print out funding sources, and it likes to print out summaries, and so it looks like we're getting a lot of repetition. But if you want to just look at the strategies, I think you could go to just about page 22, and that would give you the strategies. Our goals this year are based on what the Kentucky Board of Education recommends in KDE. They would like for every school district to have a K-Prep proficiency goal, an achievement gap goal, a college career ready, graduation rate. Last year those were the 4 required goals, and we had those. This year they added the next generation professionals for principals and the next generation professionals for teachers. I look for each year for us to add new goals. That is required by KDE and the Kentucky Board of Education. So based on that, we began working on, after we received our data, we began working on strategies and activities. We used some that you will see were a common thread from last year's. There's some new ones. We've updated quite a bit. I will tell you that last year we did, because we were being accredited, we did a lot of front-end work. This year, I made some small changes in the executive summary and the KDE needs assessment, but I didn't go back and rewrite all of it because we spent a lot of time on that. But most of the activities and strategies we looked at individually and talked about. Funding sources, you're kind of guessing of how much something would cost, and so we attach funding sources to that. And I know that we had a question. I did not include Envision's math purchase and CMP 3 math purchase. That is something that I can go back. We're not going to submit it until Friday because if you're working with the database, sometimes when you make changes, they don't always show up the next day. It depends. Assist has been very contrary this year, I'm going to say. And principals, would you agree? It's tough. And I noticed there was a 12-13 date in there that I know I've changed 3 times, but it keeps showing up 12-13. So it's just go back and revisit those. But I will include Envisions because that was board allocated money, and CMP3 as well. I am not going to go strategy by strategy. I would like to entertain questions that you have.
I guess my first question is the PGES training with $0 for funding.
Yes.
And I know that other school districts who have done this have used funds to pay for substitute teachers to be in the classroom while the teachers are doing their observation and their training. So how are you going to address this?
We've talked about it as principals, and we're going to use one of our 4 PD days this summer as a PGES training day. Now, as we look at if we need additional days, we do have Race to the Top funding that we have until June 30th that we can encumber it and use it. But as of right now, I'm trying to, we're using some of that on January 6th, and principals would rather that I did not take their teachers out of the classroom right now. What we're going to do is we're going to begin doing the non-pilot principals are going to come in, and then we're going to do a lot of our rollout in staff meetings after school starting in January in small increments, and then looking at a day, and I'd even mentioned 2 possible days. What we could do is we hate to look at using the school's days as PD, but we may be able to provide stipends for those that feel like they need more than just a day of PGES. So that's kind of why I'm hanging on to that Race to the Top. But January 6th will give me an idea of where we are, and hopefully by the faces, if we're ready to move on it more and provide additional training.
I know that some of the groups felt like having all the teachers together doing their training was beneficial as opposed to everybody doing it on their own.
Right, and that's what January 6th is going to do. It's going to set the tone, and then from that we can determine where we need to go. Our middle schools are a little bit more advanced because they are piloting it, and they're piloting it at a larger scale Elementary, it's all going to be kind of new to them. I know that they've been rolling it out staff meeting, but not to everybody. So that was something that we've really got to focus on. And you are allowed to use, right now, you can use TeachScape, and you can use all of your Race to the Top funding for PGES. They still want it to be SITS rollout, which is the state database for instruction.
Can you comment on the principal evaluation system?
Well,
We've heard a lot about that over the summer. So
yes, and as we work through that, it is still more of a paper pencil. We don't have a database yet like we do for the teacher. With teacher evaluation, it's going to go through SITS, and we know that. And at some point, I think the principal evaluation will go through that as well. We get little tidbits from the commissioner on PPGES, and we're also, those that are piloting it receive, it's a bi-weekly news brief on PGES, and it includes the teacher and the principal. But we participated in the Val-Ed at Conkright, and Ms. Thompson received her feedback from that, and that was very beneficial. In January, we come back when I'm walking a little bit better. I'll do a school visit with Ms. Thompson, and we will look at her student growth goal for the school, and we'll see where she is on the PGP and how she's going to reach those goals. And then we get geared up for student voice, and yes, they do have a K-1-2 that they have developed. So it's there. I knew it was coming, but...
I got to see this.
Yeah, I got to see it too. I clicked on it because it was in the news brief, and I clicked on it. It said you could go there, and there was an error, so it wasn't loaded yet.
See that. Okay.
Yeah. Does that answer your question about
Yes.
PPGES? It is very slow compared to the teacher rollout. I think we're really wanting to get TPGES on its feet and get it rolling for next year. There's still some questions about full implementation, possibly another pilot year. I do see that maybe where every school will participate in the pilot. It won't be a choice. But that's just my opinion. We'll see what happens.
Any other comments on strategies to keep our graduation rate up? Because when you look at our district report card and how we did with the state norms, the graduation rate was responsible
and
for a big
everybody
boost.
skyrocketed because we went from AFGAR to the cohort, and we saw such a big jump. And so really, we're going to continue the strategies that we did last year. But after we receive this year in 2014, we'll kind of determine what we need to do based on, can we keep it rolling? Can we keep it moving? It's kind of hard to determine what if your strategies worked when they change the formula on you.
Right.
That's the hard part, is when next year we'll know, because we'll have cohort to cohort, and we should be able to determine, did our strategies, were they effective? If not, we're going to have to go back to the drawing table, because we are already pretty high. So that was a big plus, and we need to give some kudos to the LRC for working on that last year.
Any other questions for Ms. Thompson?
Thank you for responding to all my questions.
Now, there are still some mistakes in here. We're going to go back and revisit it tomorrow. Takes it's a big plan, and it helps the more eyes you have. So if you see something that's really glaring, we're going to change all district funding versus general fund. We're just going to do general fund because that makes it easier for us to understand. I don't know. It's a drop-down box, and you have choices, and we have other people, different people working on different sections. Some people choose districts, some people choose general. So we're just going to make it concise with general fund. So if you see anything glaring, shoot an email to either Paul or myself, and we'll get it changed. And we do need approval on this tonight.
Yes. That was going to be my next suggestion. The motion is in order to consider approval of the comprehensive district improvement plan as presented.
I move that we approve the comprehensive district improvement plan as presented.
Motion by Ms. Hicks. Second by Mr. McGowan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Number 8, consider approval of awarding the beverage marketing agreement to Coca-Cola for George Rogers Clark High School. Mr. Boland.
What you have before you, I guess, is we just finished up last year, a 10-year arrangement with Coca-Cola that ended last school year. So we went back and put this back out to bid in order to meet the letter of the law and also to be able to work with food service to make sure we take the letter of the law for food service.
Joe, if there are any other bids?
That was the only bid received.
How does this affect if people have fundraisers and they get L8s donated?
Actually, L8 is exempt from.
Well, I was looking through there and I was trying to understand the wording.
There's actually L8 is exempt from.
Okay.
That's a big thing
The
here.
reason why I asked is because I know that we've
because
done that and L8 has been very
haven't had that
generous.
in other places.
So,
Any issues with the document, Mr. Rosenthal?
I've seen it, it's fine.
Any questions for Mr. Boland? If not, a motion is in order to approve awarding the beverage marketing agreement to Coca-Cola for GRC High School.
Make a motion to approve awarding the beverage marketing agreement with Coca-Cola for George Rogers Clark High School.
Motion by Mr. McGowan. Second by Dr. Griffith. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Next item is item number 9. Mr. Columbia, come on up. Item number 9 is consider approval of pay application number 20 for the concrete renovation project.
So that's in the amount of $716,586.61.
Any questions for Mr. Columbia on pay application number 20?
I did, and it may just all be semantics. I think at number 39 is 174,000 some odd for Rising Sun. Was that including the 60,000 that we have not approved, or was that excluding the 60,000?
That would not include that as far as the 60,000.
Any other questions for Mr. Columbia? Not a motion is in order to consider approval of pay application number 20.
I'll make a motion to approve pay application number 20 from Codell Construction Company in the amount of $716,586.61.
Motion by Dr. Griffith.
I second.
Second by Mr. McGowan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Number 10 is pay application number 25.
Also from Codell Construction Company for the construction services for the new Wells H. Justice Elementary School project in the amount of $11,625.65.
Any questions for Mr. Columbia on pay application number 25? If not, the motion is in order to approve.
Make a motion to approve application number 25.
Motion by Mr. McGowan.
Second.
Second by Ms. Ritchie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Number 11, pay application number 31.
From Codell Construction Company for resident observer services for the new GRC High School in the amount of $9,375.
Go ahead. I move that we approve pay application number 31 from Codell Construction Company for resident observer services at the new GRC High School in the amount of $9,375.
Motion by Ms. Hicks.
Second.
Second by Dr. Griffith. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Application number 37 is item number 12.
From the general contractor D.W. Welborn for the new GRC project in the amount of $130,000.
Any questions for Mr. Columbia on pay application number 37? If not, a motion is in order to approve.
Make a motion to approve application number 37, amount of $130,000.
Motion by Mr. McGowan.
Second.
Second by Ms. Ritchie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And number 13 is pay application number 16.
Also from D.W. Welborn Incorporated for the Phase 2 Clark County ATC project in the amount of $429,049.99.
Any questions for Mr. Columbia on pay application number 16? If not, a motion is in order to approve.
I make a motion that we approve pay application number 16 from D.W. Wilburn in the amount of $429,049.99.
Motion by Dr. Griffith.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. McGowan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Number 14 is change order number 18.
for the Phase 2 Clark County ATC project in the amount of $7,040, which was for an RFI project by installing different trim for exposed door jams.
Now, I'm going to ask a question because I thought we already did this. Is this an addition to what we had talked about before? Or maybe it was discussed?
You did one
In the ATC?
not in the ATC, you did one in the high school, in the ag area, and this is in the ATC.
Okay.
For the same type of openings, door openings.
We're all
Different
consistent
doors,
now.
Different doors.
Has the work been done yet?
Any other questions for Mr. Columbia or Mr. Morrell? If not, a motion is in order to approve change order number 18.
I make a motion to approve change order 18 for the Phase 2 Clark County Area Technology Center project in the amount of $7,040.
Motion by Dr. Griffith,
Second.
second by Ms. Six. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item number 15 is change order 19.
For the Phase 2 Clark County ATC project for a credit amount of $6,005. There was 430 feet of guardrail related as you go toward the school on the right-hand side. We felt that there was not enough drop-off there to use guardrail all the way around, so we started it around a bit farther around the ag shop area there to drop off.
Any other questions for Mr. Columbia on change order number 19? If not, motion is in order to approve.
Make a motion to approve change order number 19, credit amount of $6,005.
Motion by Mr. McGowan,
Second.
second by Ms. Hicks. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next item is change order 4-3.
Athletic Steel Company for the Justice Elementary School project, the amount of $1,791. That was for additional railing, the steps going up from Justice to the bus area. There was no rail in the middle. The steps were so wide, it was a dangerous situation. So we put up stronger railing and added a rail in the middle. Actually, that was done about a month and a half ago.
So that work's already been done.
Yes.
Was that done as a purchase order or a change order?
Well, it was a safety issue, so we're instructed them to go ahead and do it. So I thought it was going to come through a bit sooner, but it didn't come today, so it's changed order.
Problem is there with the width of the steps and where the kids come out in the afternoon. When they go up the middle, there's no handrail. And now with the handrail in the center, you can have lines, 2 lines on the outside going to the buses and 2 lines on the inside with the handrail. Before the 2 on the inside, we weren't able to do that. It was
Probably the first things parents commented on.
Right.
So coming down, it was dangerous. It started more.
I don't like to fall either.
Me either, but I'd still like for them to get permission instead of forgiveness.
Any other questions for Mr. Columbia? Not a motion?
I was say this was not a new change order request. It was way before the last board meeting. So I know what you're saying.
It just didn't get put
but
into
after
the
last
agenda?
board meeting, we haven't done anything like that. This was.
Oh,
before
so
that.
this is just a carryover.
Yes, so this was done actually a couple months ago. So that was prior to the last board meeting. So since the last board meeting, there's not been any change orders in effect.
Okay, I guess I don't understand.
In other words, before that was a big deal.
an issue before it was an issue last month. This happened
Yeah.
same time the others last month did, or the month before. It was just the change orders just made it in.
They didn't do it again.
Okay, but still, the work was done before the change order was requested.
Yes.
No
But-
matter when that happened.
Yes, but
Okay.
since last meeting, there's been no change orders implemented
Right.
before coming
Understand.
here. This one was already done.
I have a question. I just came from Justice and sunk in the mud behind that building. Is there anything going to be done back there? Because you had a bunch of parents getting muddy.
Yes, Mike
No,
Rogers,
sorry.
so that's our Mike Rogers maintenance crew has gotten the materials quote for that. So we just need to stretch them some dry, warmer days.
Okay.
Sidewalk going out into the left, out that back door to the.
Like behind Concrete in that area? Yes.
We're going to do that ourselves. That's not going to be a part of the change order. We'll do that through our maintenance
Well,
department.
they were just having to lay cardboard down and everything else tonight to try to get these parents in, so. Just a question in general.
Any other questions for Mr. Columbia on change order 4-3? If not, a motion is in order to approve.
I make a motion to approve change order 4-3, amount of $1,791.
Motion by Mr. McGowan,
Second?
second by Dr. Griffith. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries 4-1 with Mr. McGowan, Dr. Griffith, Ms. Ritchie, and Dr. Kudak voting yes, and Ms. Six voting no. Okay. Item number 18, consider discussion and finalization with architect of desired.
17.
We omitted 17 from the agenda. I don't know if you were here or out in the hallway. Okay. But 17 has been dropped from the agenda, so. Next item is item number 18. Consider discussion and finalization with architect of desired information to be included on the building plaques for both the Phase 1 GRC High School and Phase 2 Clark County Area Technology Center projects. Mr. Christie, or Mr. Morrell, or me.
Yeah, let Ron, if you
Go ahead.
want to.
Well, you can see what we've done is tried to respond to some of the comments we had gotten from earlier submittals. And so this is actually for both the high school and the Area Technology Center, two different plaques, but both would read to be sponsored by the Clark County Board of Education and citizens of the Commonwealth of Kentucky to serve the students, faculty, and citizens of Clark County. And then we have the architect, engineer, structural, KTA that did the MEP, and the general contractor. We were actually looking for, or were interested, if you were interested in having a quote that could be placed on both plaques. It could be, a motto, or it could be kind of, whatever you would like as a district, that would be appropriate for either one of those facilities. Or we can lead it all together in terms of what that quote might look like.
Have you asked Mr. Boland and Mr. Kindred about that?
Yes, we've asked, we've got all the lettering and stuff that's already there in the building was part of that, and so we could go back, and see about what, quote that they would like to have on the respective plaques.
I would think if we're going to do something like that, I'd want them to feel some ownership of that, but I don't know, do many schools do that?
We've done it both ways. It's probably about 50-50. Here lately, we've had probably more response with the idea of trying to put something on there, a No Child Left Behind, or, any kind of,
One community, one vision, excellence.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's that kind of thing that we're looking for if the district was interested. It's there in this is in our base bid. This is something we have been trying to kind of get finalized so we can get those, fabricated, because they'll want to go ahead and do the shop drawing and get that back to us once we give them the final verbiage. And then we'll want that approval before they actually cast. These are aluminum plaques that we cast.
Is it no longer considered appropriate, Ron, for board member names? I mean, I know we had so many boards who have been involved in this project since 2006, 2007, and 2011, 2012 for the ATC. Is it no longer appropriate to put names?
No, I mean, I think that's also, we actually sort of started that process, but we had, I can't remember at last count whether it was 16 or 17 board members.
14 board members and 3 superintendents on
17 individuals.
for the main for the high
duration
school,
of the high school,
and a fewer for the technology center. But I just wondered if that's not because at Clark Middle there's
One and one lawyer.
and yes, I can't forget the lawyer.
I have been here the whole time.
At Clark Middle, there's a plaque. I think for their programming committee that's got like 37 or 38 names on it.
Okay.
And then Shearer just has the board members.
Yes. But I don't know. But if we go with it this way, I think it would look more professional if we use AND, the conjunction, instead of the ampersand.
Okay. Can do that.
How do other board members feel about a quote or a motto? Or
I like the idea of a quote. Maybe we should ask the student body.
I like that. What do you think, Mr. Boland? I just saw you back there, so I'm asking.
Personally, I think it would look, if you're asking my opinion, I think it would look good on there to take up some of the void space in the center.
Exactly, right.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be great to put a couple out for the kids and the kids.
Okay, well, we'll get with both Mr. Kendrick and Mr. Cole. see
Well,
what we
and
can-
maybe have as one of the options, the one community, one vision excellence. That,
Right, Ms.
that's
Bush.
kind of been a thing.
Our new council of councils that are meeting, your vision and mission statement is their new agenda for the month of January to bring back from all the schools to make a new statement. You know, new board, new vision, new everything encumbered. So that might be something you would want to address with your council of councils.
We're going to be changing our,
That, we've asked them to look at that, and that's something that came up in the council, is one of the things that they wanted to look at. So they're going to come back, they're working in their schools, looking at possibilities to bring back to the councils for discussion. Of course, any of that, any outcome from that will come before you guys, before it goes anywhere.
So this would be a new statement for the district, not just for the individual schools?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. There is a principal, a teacher, and a parent that are invited from every school, and they meet with us. Of course, it's open to the public for anybody, and they discuss.
Do you have a timeline on that finalized
He was in January.
process?
The meeting was in November, and we're not having one in December, of course, so they were supposed to bring it back in January's meeting. And that's usually the last Thursday of the month.
So that
After
would
the
not be
board meeting.
prior to our January board meeting?
Sounds like it would be the Thursday after. But
We could move it up. I mean, we're not set in stone. I could.
I'm just trying not to go another 6
Yeah.
months. I mean,
Yeah.
we were hoping to have this
you know,
in
but
August, you know.
we're talking about maybe putting a motto. On the other hand, you know, if the students want to take ownership of it and come up with their own quote,
I'd want to, personally, I'd like to hear what they have to say.
yeah, they have a lot to say. So,
Okay, well, we'll go that route for the January meeting, see if we can have something that feels appropriate, that the students can.
Can we approve this as presented with us adding the quote in? So Ms. Morel can proceed.
sure. I make a motion that we approve the schematics for the plaque. No.
One other thing, when you look at that, is there a possibility of saying, you've got the second "and" sign there that you might want to address, but then students, faculty, and staff? I mean, that's another piece of the puzzle that's in
Between the
there.
Clark County Board and the citizens, I was going to do the A and D.
But he's saying to add the word staff.
Staff, where it says
along with
students, faculty,
citizens.
Staff and
staff and
Staff
citizens.
and staff before the second "and."
Students and faculty doesn't encumber everybody that's in the facility.
Okay.
It's not everyone is
That's right.
faculty, not everyone is students.
So students, faculty, then staff,
And then
and then all
Staff
the
and
citizens of
citizens.
Clark County on the next line? or
Yes.
something? Okay.
And with all ampersands being ANDs. Sorry.
The motion is on the table by Dr. Griffin. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. McGowan. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Ms. Morel. Okay, there are two other items on the agenda which were added late, Ms. Ritchie. 18A is stipend for personnel, and 18B is hiring a facilitator for the local planning committee. And 18A, who would like to speak to that? Ms. Hicks, since you added the item.
18A, I was adding on behalf of a board member who was not present.
Okay, I'll speak.
Okay.
I would like to ask that we give our teachers and our staff consideration in giving them a one-time bonus again like was done last year.
Okay.
So you may want to jump in here and
How does that figure in with
What
our
sort of
resources?
numbers have we looked at?
Right.
Well, we pulled what we did last time we did this, and the total cost was 700, well, almost 800,000. But breaking it down to the different funds, general fund would absorb about 600,000 of it. Fund 2, 110, and food service about 70. To do
What was the size of the bonus last year?
900 each.
And this was for all full-time personnel? What were the guidelines for the distribution?
The full-time certified classified personnel, they had to be hired after, if they were hired after the date of this board meeting, they did not receive the salary add-on. And those who resigned after the date it was approved got the full amount. If their paycheck didn't happen till the, if they resigned at the time we paid it, they got a prorated amount. Full-time employees were defined as those that get benefits eligible for health insurance. This is how they call benefits. And employees who are on a temporary leave without pay will receive the salary add-on when they return to work and not before. Employees who are on leave without pay for the remainder of the year and do not return by June 30th did not get it. That was one stipulation that were last year.
And those that were on any type of a workers' comp claim did not receive would not receive till they come back.
And that didn't include part-time at all, right?
One of my concerns is with the Affordable Care Act moving forward. We have people that are people that are in the district now monitoring hours. It's potential that we're going to have to offer insurance to more people. There are some people who we think are working part-time now, which are going to be over the 32 hours or whatever the standard is that's set. The other thing is that with the insurance market is in some degree of flux right now. That's a mild understatement. But, cost to the district is going to shoulder the cost of any of these additional employees. Plus, if our cost for insurance benefits rises, and I think a lot of people are having issues right now because all these numbers, from a national standpoint, come in much higher than anybody anticipated. The district's going to have to shoulder the cost on that. One of the things when Dr. Bob is here, we go over all those things and go over budget. One of the numbers that always catches my eye is fringe benefits and insurance, and that's a significant chunk of what we do and what we spend. It's part of our personnel expense, and it's going up like this. So, do you have any? Can you?
General fund employees, their portion of fringe benefit of health insurance is paid by the state. It doesn't cost the district anything. That's what the state pays on our behalf is what Dr. Bob refers to as on behalf. The state pays it on behalf of us. So that doesn't hit our general fund budget. But some of our Fund 2 federal programs, it does. Food service, they don't pay the health insurance either. And with the way these stipulations are worded, they have to be a full-time employee the date you all approve this. So if they qualify for benefits next year or something, no, they had to be a full-time employee the date you all approve it, is how the language is written before.
My other concern would be the legislature's meeting next year. Mr. Palmer is not here. He could have shed some light on this, but where our funding is going to be is a good question because where the SEEK range is going to come up, that's going to be decided in the legislative session next year. There's a lot of talk and a lot of back and forth between the Kentucky Department of Education and legislators, and a lot of people are asking for money. And okay, the budget's a surplus, you have it. No, you're not getting it, and there's a lot of that that's up in the air. We had to pass a 4% tax increase basically to keep our revenues constant this year, which I think is a significant issue. So I want other board members to take those things into consideration before making any decisions. Also, off the top of your head, do you know what our contingency is right now? Because this would come out of contingency, correct? Okay.
It was 7.8.
Okay.
And do Dr. Bob and Dr. Bob have an opinion on what a one-time salary enhancement would be? I mean, can we afford that?
We were sitting at about a 12%, which this will take us down. Our budget take us down 1%, basically. Our budget is about $60,000. Top general fund, $600,000. That's about down 1%. That'll take us probably about 11. And it's a one-time, so it's not a recurring cost. That's just a decision you all make at this point.
Did you run numbers other than the 900 that we gave last year? Okay.
Last year was offered 2 or 3 different levels, and the 900 was the level that you decided on, and we had those for solid numbers to look at.
Okay.
That's the only reason we had those.
That's good.
There's 91 part-time, 795 full-time.
Was there a lower amount considered last year? I can't remember.
This was the.
It wasn't last year, it was 2 years ago.
No, it was
No,
last
year.
year.
It was last year?
November of last year.
November.
That was the lower amount.
Okay.
The first amount
1,100.
was like 1,200.
1,100, 1,200, and 1,000, and
That was
900.
the lower.
Uh-huh. Okay.
There was three numbers.
My personal opinion is with a lot of these variables out there, $900 bonus, while it seems like a nice thing to do, I think it may put the district in some financial trouble next year. So I would be okay with a smaller increase. There are two, the SEEK funding is a big issue. And we don't know whether that's going to be up or down. So
At the
Are
KSBA
we-
meeting, they were very non-committal.
Yeah.
They said, oh, there's a lot of reason to be optimistic, but that's just kind of to keep what you've got.
Would we not include our part-time again at all this time, or?
It seems though they make up a lot as well.
Right.
I think we ran that, didn't we?
91 part-time,
We had 91 part-time people, I ran that.
795 full-time.
So the amount you quoted earlier, does that include the part-time members as well?
What constituted, I gotta ask, what constituted the part-time? Is it, where was the line drawn?
Subs, that was like 100-day teachers,
Okay.
retired teachers that come back and work, like ESS or daytime, on daytime labor, that kind of thing. Half-time custodians, we've got some of those, that kind of thing. Is what part-time.
Bus drivers.
Paraprofessionals are on part-time too.
Bus drivers.
They
Yeah.
do full, they're paid well.
Except
They
for
was-
sub-bus drivers, they're in the sub-category. They're not in that number.
I don't want to leave the part-time employees out. I mean, I really don't, because they did get left out last year, and they work hard too.
Well, then it seems obvious that we'd have to go with a lower number. Would we also prorate that for the part-time?
Yeah, how would you do the part-time?
Set a number of part-time. You could set a number of part-time if you wanted.
Like 500 for.
That wouldn't have to be the same.
250 for part-time or 300, something like
that
that.
would be What were your numbers again for 900, the total cost?
The total cost, well, it's different with fringe benefits for certified and classified, but around 800,000.
Look, everybody, algebra, it's important.
When have you ever had to solve for X?
Every day, Trudy.
Yes. I had a student ask me that one time. Ms. Hicks, when have you ever had to solve for X?
Okay. If we go with 500, and I'm just doing a strict strict ratio here, the cost of the district would be $444,444.
That's not including part-time.
That's not including part-time. And then part-time, if you say $250 times 90,
91.
91.
that would be another $22,500. Bringing the grand total to $466,944. And the contingency was?
7.8.
So that's
It is
so that's just about
6%.
a half percent.
So that bonus would be 6% of the contingency. We approved that. It's 466,000 and 6% of 7.8 million, correct?
Of our contingency. I was thinking of our whole budget is about 60,000. So that's how I got 12%. 6 million. Yeah.
Our math teacher over there, keeping us straight. So, those numbers are based on $500 per full-time employee, $250 per part-time employee. Or those are the numbers. Okay.
Is there 795 full-time? Is that right? Yes.
Any other discussion, thoughts, comments, suggestions?
Yeah. Do we have any other possible hits on our contingency fund that we know of coming up?
The state. You know, that's.
Payback
The kids
kinda
that-
worries me.
Let's go ahead.
The Kisbit payback.
Right.
You know, last time we were assessed, it was 200 and something thousand, and it got it down around 200 now. They think our portion will be, and they still have to determine that. They said it
wouldn't
probably
be
won't
this
happen
year.
this year.
Wouldn't be this year.
My fear is that if SEEK does not, it stabilizes or decreases or continues to do this like it's been, we're going to, if we hire this, keep the same amount of people and keep all of our programs here, you know, we're going to have to dip into, you know, general fund to pay it. We're going to, and I'm having to take in that contingency, really, so that is definitely a concern.
Well, when our employees are asked to do more and more every year with less and less, I think even the token amount is, you know, less than what we would like to do, but at least it acknowledges that we appreciate your work, we wish we could do more. At this time we can't, but we look forward to the opportunity of being able to give you a recurring, you know, a flat across the board raise that is whatever percent of your income that will continue and not just be a one-time deal. You know, I think that the personnel, you know, appreciate that gesture and lets them know that we acknowledge the service that they do. You know, I would be in favor of even more, but I would also settle for the $500 each for each full-time employee as designated in the criteria that were earlier listed, and $250 for each part-time employee as noted. And I would make that in the form of a motion.
I'll second it.
Yeah, second motion.
Just, I want to be real careful here before I leave here. I want to make sure that I'm perfectly clear along with Gina on what constitutes part-time. I mean, we have part-time folks, I don't know, in the 91, it was 91.
Okay, were they, whatever made up that 91 employees.
I just worry that at some point there's that cutoff, and whomever may be just one click below that cutoff is going to be upset. And I want to make sure that we're clear. If you've got some part-time that works, I don't know when you're part-time, I don't know who you have listed, but in your part-time, are they all about the same number of hours, or some of them 2 or 3 hours a week, or two?
Some are more and some are less. You know, some are like, some are teachers with daily wage thresholds of 7.5 hours, some are teachers with 6 hours. You know, they're all different.
Can you figure it on percent of FTEs? Is this person a 0.3 or 0.45 or?
Of a full-time equivalent. Like if
Yes.
the teacher's 187 days and there are 100 days, they would get 71 whatever percent. We could.
Well, I would suggest instead of saying $250 for part-time employees, that apply to 500 to everybody, and then if you're less than one full-time equivalent,
whatever percent they're of the 100 of the
I'm fine with that.
Now, the other thing is paraprofessionals. Paraprofessionals are somebody just employed as a coach. Those are part-time employees.
That's a stipend position. I don't know. That's.
Those are stipend positions, though, right? Okay, are the other part-time employees, these 91 that were generally included, are those stipends?
No.
Okay. I would say for those who are getting a non-stipend salary, or however you would say that.
So we need to make a motion to amend our motion.
Want to withdraw your motion? Then offer a new
Okay.
one?
I move to amend the pending motion by striking the words $250 for each part-time employee and substituting the words prorated based on one full-time equivalency of a full-time position for non-stipend positions.
I'll second it.
Motion by Six, second by Mr. Dale. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. And that's just the amendment that we're voting on now, right?
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
Opposed? Okay, so the amendment passes 5-0. Now, a motion is in order on the amended motion.
Okay, don't you do you?
Okay, and so the amended motion.
Amended motion is up for vote.
Okay, which now reads, I move that we approve a one-time salary enhancement of $500 for each full-time employee and an amount for each part-time employee prorated based on the full-time equivalency employee.
I'll second the motion.
Non-stipend.
Motion by
Yes,
Six.
for non-stipends.
Motion by Six, seconded by Mr. McGowan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay. Next item is 18B, hiring a facilitator for the local planning committee. Ms. Hicks.
I had asked earlier, just because when we reconvened the facility planning committee, whether a facilitator would be used, because when the previous plan was developed that is now being possibly amended, a facilitator was used for that plan. And the response was that that would be a board decision. So, and someone mentioned it at the forum last night, that there hadn't really been a record that the board had considered hiring a facilitator. I don't know that I'm encouraging that, but that we have at least discussed this in an open forum of whether to have a facilitator for the facility planning committee that is reconvened.
Okay. You got some?
Yeah, in those conversations about that, I did go ahead, took the liberty to contact KSBA. That is the group that works with you as a board, and is also the group that provides, in the past, has provided a facilitator. And talking with those, with them, of course, the board would have to approve to hire a KSBA facilitator. That's the motion that it would take to move. Talk to them, because it is an amendment. It's a little different than the amount that they talked about in the previous time for the full-scale program. This one, they would do it. They would provide someone. They gave even a name. They reside in Pulaski County that does their facilities now, and it's basically going to end up being about $300 to $400 per meeting that they attend. That includes their hourly rate and their mileage, and that's their costs, and that's their travel and expenses. And it would be depending on the length of the meeting, obviously. A 1 to 2 hour meeting, they said, would cost approximately $300 to $400 per meeting. And they would be willing to negotiate with the board if you were interested in doing something like that, to maybe set a possible cap of $3,000 to $4,000.
Were other consultants considered?
No, KSBA is normally the ones that has always provided for those type things, and that's who they do the superintendent searches, they do these
Right,
things, they do
right.
the whole gamut. And so that's the only contact I made. If there's somebody else you want me to contact, I'll be glad to do it. I didn't know of anybody else to contact, though. KSBA was my own.
What was the name given?
Tim Eaton.
Oh, okay.
He was one that on this last time was going to, and then had taken on a couple other districts.
Yes.
And then backed out here.
Right.
And we ended up with Mr. Oder.
Yes.
That's how Mr. Oder ended up here last time.
I thought with, 7 or 8 members on the committee who were not on the previous one, that might be a consideration, you know, to have the person walking them through some things that may not get walked through otherwise, but whatever.
There was a mention of having someone from KDE present to kind of give yeses and nos as to what
I
you
think
can
that
and
that's
not.
probably different than what we're talking about a facilitator here. I think that would be a different person.
Did
Because the facilitator's not making those decisions.
Right. Was there a consensus reached last night? Because it sounded like there were several that were in favor and several that were
Yeah,
not.
no, we didn't take a vote on whether to do that or not. There were...
No, there was no vote by the local planning committee last night to say, should we have a facilitator? There was discussion. And actually, it came back to the board decision. So here we are.
Right. Well, I understand that. I just want everything to be open and transparent and not feel like, you know.
Well, to have something on the record that the board has done, I make a motion. I move that the board hire a facilitator for the facility planning committee at a cost of $300 to $400 per meeting, with a possible cap of $3,000 to $4,000.
Okay. Motion by Ms. Hicks.
So that would just be the one he spoke to, right? You don't want to speak to anybody else, correct?
Right, we don't know anyone else who does it.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm with you now.
Motion is on the table by Ms. Hicks.
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Ritchie. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? No. No. And should you vote?
Okay. I say let's hire one. So,
All right, motion carries 3-2 with Ms. Ritchie. Let's see. So Ms. Ritchie, Ms. Hicks, and Dr. Griffith voting yes, and Mr. McGowan and Dr. Kudak voting no. Correct? Did I get that right? Okay. All right.
I'll contact KSBA tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Consent agenda items. Does anyone want to consider anything on the consent agenda separately?
In general board business? Oh, because I've got some...
Okay.
Just, I've talked with some of you as board members. I've also talked with KSBA, Wayne Young, and he has offered to come sometime during the month of January, and I would look closely at the January the 7th, so when
that's the
organizational meeting, maybe he's willing to come and do a board training for the superintendent and the board and the high school principals and middle school principals on conducting expulsion hearings, and I just want to put that out there. He's available to do it at no cost, and I didn't know where else to put that in there, so I put it.
Right, sure.
That's something
I
that
think
you
that
all would
sounds
desire. If that's something you
Great
desire, I
idea.
can contact him and
Yes.
schedule it, try to schedule it during the organizational meeting at the end
That
of
would
it.
be great.
Good.
Thank you.
Other internal board business.
I guess I have a question, but I don't know if this is internal board business or not. It's just, it's something that's staring me in the face. At the GRC auditorium tonight is a big concert that we're all not attending. But I was there helping decorate, and there's some issues with the stage and the brown paint that shows everything, and the curtains that don't cover up, and the curtains that don't meet in the middle. And so I don't know if that's something we need to discuss. How do we go about fixing that?
If it's all right with you, I'll get with Mr. Columbia and we'll work with the architects design, and I know exactly what you're talking about. I was at the Nutcracker and I saw the same thing that you're talking about.
Well, if you sit center stage or to the left of center stage, you see everything to the right. And if you
sit
were,
on the other side, you see back in the
you
storage
say all
room.
the way
everything.
to the left, you see the big door that comes down, the garage door. The one place that you don't see that is very back of the auditorium in the center. And so it's very near and dear to my heart, and I just wanted to bring it up.
I will, I'll talk with him, and I haven't had a chance to talk to the architects about that. And after that Nutcracker, I'm also going to meet with the director of that, and because that was our first big production there, that was a real good shakedown cruise to the auditorium, so I'll meet with her, and we're going to talk about any other things. There was some ideas of some lighting backstage. Once you close those curtains, there's no lighting backstage for anyone that's doing anything, moving back and forth. It's total darkness back there. So there's a couple of we'll lump all that together.
That's all about internal.
Okay, all right. Next up is the consent agenda. Does anyone have anything, any items which they would like to remove from the consent agenda?
I don't want to remove it, but on item 21, I don't know if anybody noticed on the closeout documents that Willis Elementary is misspelled. And I don't really want to approve something that's misspelled.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
The closeout document,
Right.
Willis Justice
Yes.
Elementary is misspelled.
Yes.
And so I thought, since this is an official document, we should ask that that be corrected.
In some manner.
The item number 21 under that group of BG4 closeouts.
You mean you missed that, Judy?
No, it's on there.
So I don't know the procedure. Do we just pull it out and then amend
We
it?
will
You can
note
amend
that
it with the corrected,
With the
with the correct spelling, and we'll make sure that gets corrected before it's submitted to KDE.
Okay.
And are we considering salaries and accounts payable separately as a separate motion?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
because I need to recuse myself from that one, but not from the rest of the consent.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion regarding the consent agenda? If not, a motion is in order to approve the following. Item number 19, consider approval of Concord band trip to Cincinnati, Ohio to attend performance of Phantom of the Opera May 2nd, 2014. Number 20, to consider approval of GRC swim team trip to participate in Region 5 swimming regionals in Barberville, Kentucky, February 14th and 15th, 2014. Number 21, with correct spelling, consider approval of BG4 project closeout forms for Frederick May Construction, OK Interiors Corporation, American Tile Company, Fay Electrical, Central Kentucky Glass Company, CDI Flooring Incorporated, the Atlas Company, and Houston Barger for the new Clark County Elementary project. Number 22, consider approval of the BG4 closeout document for the direct purchase order DPO 0746-02-25, our purchase order 130-10031 for Old Castle Precast for the Phase 2 Clark County Area Technology Center project. Number 23, consider approval of the BG4 closeout document for the direct purchase order DPO 0746-02-33, purchase order 130-10038 for Terrazzo and Marble Supply Company of Illinois for the Phase 2 Clark County Area Technology project. Number 24, consider approval for the BG4 closeout document for the direct purchase order DPO 0746-02-35, our purchase order 139-20161 for TNEMEC Company Incorporated for the Phase 2 Clark County Area Technology Center project. Number 25, approval of employee leaves of absence. Number 26, acknowledge and notice of personal action report. Number 27, acknowledge the cash position report. Number 28, acknowledge the Clark County Motor Vehicles tax report. Number 29, acknowledge the Clark County Sheriff's report. Number 30, acknowledge the monthly financial report. Number 31, acknowledge the general fund budget summary report. Motion is in order to approve these items.
I'm gonna,
Go ahead, Ms. Hicks. Motion by Ms. Hicks, second by Mr. McGowan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Ms. Hicks, are you recused from?
I'm recused from this. And-
Okay.
But when we do vote to go into closed session, I vote yes.
Okay. Next item is authorized payment of salaries and accounts payable.
Make a motion to authorize payment of salaries and accounts payable.
Motion by Mr. McGowan.
Second.
Second by Ms. Ritchie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with Ms. Hicks recused. Okay. And I will just go ahead and do a brief recess, and we'll return for closed session at 8:30ish.
I'll holler at you when they're ready. Good. It'd be nice to do with the surgery.